こんにちは、メローラジオ第3話です。で、今日はいつも通りゆったりと話していこうと思うんだけど、今日は僕はクリームソーダを飲みながら配信してます。で、アンディの隣にいます。
Hi guys, it's Andy again.
で、昨日の動画ね、昨日って言っても今日かさっき上げた動画で、昨日の動画で、少し話したんだけど、世界がどう変わってるっていうのを少し話してたんだけど、新しい企業とかが、来ることによって新しい企業が来ることによって前の企業衰退していく産業もあって、その世界が激変してるっていうことで、僕たちもねそういうその新しい考え方を持たないといけなくって、その新しいものに挑戦していこうっていう、考え方をね前回の動画で話したんだけど、今日はそれを、アンディ君と一緒に、さらに追求していけたらいいなと思います。So last video, I talked about how the world is changing at a rapid speed. So and lots of people don't know what they're doing right now. Like lots of businesses, even if you look at America, they said like at 1.40 million unemployed, right?
Yeah, so many people out of jobs.
They said like their workforce is like 120 million. And then they have 40 million unemployed. That's 1/3, 1/4 already. 1/3, right? Exactly, right? So like that's already a lot of people who are out of jobs. So what can we do as younger generation? Because everyone is standing still. We should be running, right?
Yeah, well, it is our chance because with this like environment changing, usually it means a lot of the old business or like the old, not the old people, like, but the one that has already done something, they're facing like rapid changes as well. So
exactly.
So we're kind of it brings us on the same line with them. So we still have to catch up to them, but like then we're having a closer reach. Like if you start now, you might even be able to overtake them because if you adapt to these changes.
If you take a different approach, right? I guess like in this sense, I think technology is one of the biggest factors probably, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like when we buy stocks, the stocks I buy are usually technology related. Like I buy something called Fastly, which is like an internet not a provider, but they are like they host your website, and then like TikTok is partnered with them, and then they have like Fastly loading videos and like web pages which load faster. But then I think like most of the places are technology, like Apple stocks. Like what do you think about the technology? How can we like adapt to technology? Like Zoom videos, how has it affected you?
I mean, it's pretty hard to say how to adapt them, but like look into like how we use technology on a daily basis, and maybe that will inspire you to do something else.
Exactly. How have you changed your method of technology? Like, do you use Zoom?
Yeah, nowadays you can't go to uni and talk to people or like your friends. I mean, people use like definitely social medias and like video calling and all those a lot more.
Yeah, right. They said like the whole world's internet usage rapidly went up after the pandemic.
Of course that would be the case.
Yeah, right. It's pretty crazy.
When do you think this like with this? Because even when let's say we found like a vaccine for the corona and things become better, once people got not trapped, but like once people use the technology, it's like kind of hard to get back once we use whatever.
Yeah, I agree. So like I think there is not gonna be the world before again. We're not gonna go back in time, right? What's happened has happened already. Like when your milk is spilled, you can't cry over it, right? They say it's like an English saying. So like once it's happened and everyone's adapted to the new world, you can't really go back to the old one, right?
That's true, yeah.
Especially because like technology companies like Twitter and Facebook are all finding out that productivity increases if you work from home at the time you like, right? There's like research which shows like, so we'd rather you work from home instead of come to the office every day.
Maybe people feel more like comfortable at home and they think better at home or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's true. テクノロジーが僕とアンディ君でまとまった話は、テクノロジーがこうやって世界を変えていくわけだから、やっぱりねそれに目を向けて、そういうところから出てくるアイデアっていうのはもちろんあると思うし、Zoom とか典型的なその環境の変化によって出てきたテクノロジーであって、普段の環境であれば Zoom なんて絶対に使われないようなものなわけでしょ。だから今の環境に適合してるものだからこそ成功できたっていうのはあると思うんだよね。だからみんながね立ち止まってる時、Zoom はずっとこの中でも走り続けたっていう点では勝利をつかんだっていうのはあると思うんだよね。だから僕たちもそうやって見習って、みんなが止まってる今だからこそ走り抜いて、いち早くゴールにたどり着くっていうのが大事だと思うんだよね。
How do you think stores could adapt the technology and make it better for consumer nowadays?
Right. It's because even when I go outside, I feel kind of more scared, right? It's of course it's decreased as time passes, but right when it started, I was kind of worried to go outside. And I was exactly, right? And then once you decrease your activities to go outside, you kind of get used to it, and then you just stay inside more often, right?
But I bet once they let people out, people will go crazy. Finally, we can go out and stuff like that as well.
But I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Even when a vaccine comes out, unless a vaccine comes out in short time, then people can go back. Maybe they can still go back, but it still might be already too late, right?
What industry do you think will just completely fall off after this, or what brands, or what kind of businesses just?
I think the airplane industry is never gonna be the same again already. Think about I think it was Delta Airlines. They just cut off another 2,000 pilots or something. So even
remember to be a pilot.
Remember that time when you were oh, be a pilot when you grow up and you'll never be fucked in life, right?
Suddenly things have changed.
Exactly, right? I never thought that pilots, worst case scenario, just go work at a Peach pilot or Hong Kong Airlines, and you'd still have a job. It's still better than driving a taxi, right? Right now there isn't even plane rides, so I'd rather drive a taxi than a fucking plane now, because there's not even plane rides. That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I guess
there's not enough demand for the plane trips. The pilots is still there. That's
exactly,
just the same amount of supply. They would just have to get wage cuts or even let go of. Who would have thought I worked hard, become an airplane pilot, and this is what happened to me?
Exactly. Imagine the people who started this year, who graduated.
Oh no!
Right? Imagine the people who signed up to work in Cathay Pacific and all those kind of shit. It's crazy.
They were looking for a bright future.
Dark
time has come.
But since that kind of jobs has decreased, there has to be a new supply in a different industry of jobs, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
What goes will come back in a different form,
Yeah.
I believe. At least that's what I hope to believe, right?
So don't be sad if you're that type of people. Look for new opportunities.
I guess it's kind of hard though.
It's easy for me to say.
I've learned to be a pilot my whole 3-5 years of my life, and then I'm ready to be a
what?
Pilot?
What?
Pilot is not a job anymore. That's pretty crazy. 世界の環境で一番大きな変化が起きてあるのってやっぱり今だと飛行機とかエアラインインダストリーって言って、航空会社とかだと思うんだよね。でどう影響されているのかっていうのを言うと、一緒に話してやっぱり今デルタ航空っていうアメリカの航空会社でも2000人くらいのパイロットが切られてるわけで、昔から考えるとパイロットとかスチュワーデスかキャビンアテンダントになれれば一生苦労することはないだろうなっていう、発想だったんだよ。僕の、お父さんもお母さんも、パイロットとかキャビンアテンダントはいいぞ、 そういうものになっておけば苦労はしないし世界旅行できるからいいぞって言ってたのに、今となってはもうそもそも飛行機が飛んでないっていう状況だし、多分もうこれからも飛行機の、飛んでる台数ってやっぱり激減していくと思うんだよね、旅行したくない人も増えてくるし、ワクチンができたらまた話は別だと思うけど、できない間はなんでわざわざコロナにかかりに行くリスクを増やさないといけないのっていう話で、なかなか外で旅行したくないっていう人が増えると思うので、in that sense, like tourism and all that kind of shit would be so much more lower, right?
Yeah, tourism is a hard one. In Hong Kong, definitely, if you go out, there's no foreigners or no tourists.
There's no Chinese people with their suitcases, right?
It's all gone.
Exactly. Like, think about the amount of stores that are so fucked because there's no...
But I've realized that because like Hong Kong is like an international city as well, a lot of tourists coming in. There used to be like a lot of stores who are targeted for those tourists, like shops like the medicine stores and stuff like that, which to be honest, like Hong Kong locals doesn't really like it because there's plenty of like local shops having to like go upstairs like 19-20 floors up just to shop over there because they can't afford those like places on the bottom floor,
right.
Whereas like people who do tourist business like the medicines, they would, but like in that sense, those closures have started to like shut down, and you see more like local restaurants and shops moving down. So in that sense, I guess like it is pretty cool to see at least.
Right, yeah. I'd rather support local culture as well. Recently, we've been working on a lot of we've been looking and trying to like
reach out and get in touch.
Get into a lot of like more local places so that we know how hard it is. So now we kind of know how hard it is for local brands to kind of excel, right? Because like Sun Fung or like there's Sun Fung嗰啲包裝你由上門攞到人哋門口，點做啲細生意？ Like you can't, it's impossible to compete with them, right? So like the chances of the big companies going bankrupt increases the chances of the more local companies too.
Definitely. Well, like recently we've been looking into like local brand shops and like their culture and stuff like that, and we're trying to see from their points of perspective, and it's really hard for them to promote or compete with the bigger international brands, right?
Especially now, like Uniqlo and Zara when they start to go online and be like, yo, we're online, check us out. Their voice is so much louder than
like even the tourists, they come to Hong Kong, they buy like the international brand, like they come over to shop Zara, Uniqlo, or even Burberry, Louis Vuitton, those kind of, but like they don't even know like what Hong Kong local brands, which I'm not saying is a bad thing because it's just a misinformation. Like when I go to Japan, I don't know what local brand there is. I go to shop at the big names, right?
But at least it is possible for you to make a big name out of Japanese brands, right? There are Japanese brands that have not made it, but they have become well known, right? Like I'm pretty sure Needles, Nepenthes is like a brand that all of us know.
Do you think they have more opportunity than Hong Kong though? Like the Hong Kong local brands, they are
of course
very limited in terms of like resources.
Like,
and
name
stuff
me
like that.
2 brands from Hong
Kong. I can't.
Exactly, right? What kind of country is it when you can't? It's such a small place, but you can't name 2 of the local brands that there are. I guess Tim's store and what?
I don't know, Initial,
exactly.
Initial is probably like the
biggest,
bigger one,
right?
like
you
can't name any. Jesus.
And Initial is the bigger one, but then I guess it's not even close to
some of the scales
of Japan, right? Like the market size is so much smaller in Hong Kong. But there are like people who are like hype beasts who are starting to increase the market size, right? Definitely. So I think it's about how they can attract those people to buy Initial instead of Supreme.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it the chance now though?
It's not, but it's not.
Like, fashion industry ain't doing so well
Exactly,
anyways.
ローカルのブランドでの話なんだけど、ローカルのブランドってやっぱり国外の大手のブランドとか、例えばもうちょっと業界が違うっていうよりは少しジャンルが違うけど、例えばユニクロとかザラとか H&M とか見ても、ブランドとしても確立してるから、何かを発言するだけで、ウェブサイトにこの洋服を投稿するだけでもう何万と見るわけでしょ。消費者が何万人といる中、こういうブランドは今上に立ってるブランドは上に行きやすいけど、下から這い上がってこようとするブランドなんてもうオーディエンスがいないわけだよ。観客見てくれる人がいないから、もう特に今の時期とか洋服に目を向ける人ってもうさらに少なくなってる中、どうやって小さいブランドっていうのは、成功していくべきなのかなっていうのは考えものだよね。例えば日本とかだと、国外のブランドも多いけど国内のブランドをサポートする人だっているわけで、例えばキャピタルとか、ネペンテスとか、そういうのも日本の国内のブランドで、クオンとかもね、すごいクオン is really nice。 クオンとかもすごく伝統的な日本のね刺し子とかを使っててすごくいいなって思うけど、香港に来たらアンディ君でも2個ぐらいしか、ローカルのドメスティックのブランドを知らないっていう形になると、やっぱりね、どうあがいても越えられない壁っていうのがあるんだと思うんだよ。だからそこをね、どうやってそのインフォメーションギャップ、情報のギャップをね閉じていくかっていうのは、これからの洋服業界で、香港とかは特に大事だと思うんだよね。How do you think we can close the information gap? 今からちょっと洋服の、例えばどうやってその情報のギャップを閉じていくかっていうのをちょっと話していこうと思うんだけど。
I think there's like two main ways. Like, firstly, especially for Hong Kong people, like if you look at like Japan, at least I'm pretty sure the Japanese people, they support the Japanese brand, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Hong Kong, barely any of my they don't do enough to support their own brands. Like Japan, their brands could even look at like, oh, let's spread the culture to sell it to overseas. Hong Kong brands, they can't even sell it to their own people. What overseas are we talking about? Like, there's no.
That's true.
But like the other way, maybe like that there needs to be some sort of like a platform or like someone to help connect and give the information and not teach them, but like spread, so people could understand what the local culture is about and like get into that kind of things.
Yeah, that's true. But do you think it's because of there isn't a lot of influencers that have power to spread these kind of cultures? Because like in Japan there are like street, like say for example rappers, they promote the local brands, and like when you look at America, they have like Kanye West, Travis Scott that promotes their own local brands, right?
That's true. I think how should I say, for me personally, I think Hong Kong has like a unique culture because they have like the culture from like the Chinese, and they also have the culture from the Western, because when they were like lent to the UK, colonized for a period of time, then during that time you see a lot of like the different cultures mixing, and that created a really unique culture. But nowadays it's more like they have separated again, so they're either chasing the Western culture, or they're like chasing the Chinese culture, or they're rejecting or whatever. So I think more people should like trying to use this unique location to mix and create some new things, that because we are a pretty unique city.
Is there even any other country which is like an Asia-Europe mix?
I guess you could say like Singapore and stuff like that, but like
fair enough. But I guess Hong Kong, when you look at the buildings as well, there are some buildings that look exactly
like even our
like,
street is like translated from English, like Waterloo Road, Wardalo, like this is pretty cool.
Like apparently the only reason Hong Kong has a name in every street is because when the UK colonized it, they named
decided.
every street. Exactly. So like only like Hong Kong and the UK have a name on like every street. If not, you'd only have a name for one in every street, and then it'd be like a block, and then you have to find, like, it's harder to find directions, right?
Yeah, even the little alley, sometimes we see like a sign, oh, this is the what alley.
What kind of things do you think symbolize Hong Kong? Like mahjong?
Mahjong. Probably the Hong Kong is like a port, right? So it's like a lot of stuff coming in, and we're the one who distribute it to different places. So I guess like we have different ships. I don't know.
I don't think that symbolizes Hong Kong.
No, like Hong Kong started as like, before it was a city, it started as like a fishing port. But like that, I guess people barely even recognize that anymore. Like Hong Kong blew up because of the finance and because of the transport things, because people could come in the ship and that could direct to other places. That's how it blew up. But like, what symbolizes Hong Kong?
Yeah, you don't have to like talk about the history. I mean, like, when you think of Hong Kong, what kind of things do you think about? Like, is it the food? Is it?
Yeah, we have some.
Like the street food is kind of. Really nice,
we have some
right?
cool street foods like siu mai.
Yeah.
Fish balls.
Is that from Hong Kong?
I think it is actually. Like, I've never seen it in
other countries.
Well, even if it had, it would call it like Hong Kong.
That's true. Maybe, yeah. Maybe I guess street food is kind of like
Dim
a Hong
sum
Kong
is
tradition.
probably from Hong Kong. I haven't done my research. I'm just saying like we have a lot of it.
But how can we close once again, the main question is how can we close this gap between the information gap between the because I guess it's part of because Hong Kong has doesn't have like celebrities that specifically do fashion or like influencers that promote culture, right?
Definitely.
So how can Hong Kong start to experience better domestic brands? Is it because of the factories? Is it harder to produce in Hong Kong? Not really, right? Because China's right next door. It's so easy to make clothes in China, right?
Clothes. We have the people who design, who have the culture. We just need the people to understand it through maybe like a platform, by doing some reading, and some we need to be the influencer.
Right, of course, yeah, of course. We can go to be the influencer, but then that takes a lot of time, right? You need to lay down the bricks first, then lay down the second layer, and then you finally go and say, oh, this is good. I think everyone should try it. And you also have to have a lot of power, right, to do this. So I think
to be honest, right now they are trying their best. Like all the stores, they have their own Instagram shops, their Facebook page, trying to spread and these message across. But people do not they mainly do it on social medias, which is mixed around with a lot of things. They really need a focused platform that does this kind of things, and people can go on it and find out.
Yeah. Right. I think 今僕たちが話してたインフォメーションギャップ、情報のギャップね、例えばアメリカと香港っていうのはすごくトレンドでは大きな情報ギャップが足りてないわけだよ。だからアメリカでカニエ・ウエストがこれを着ても香港では誰も気にしないっていう状況なのね。だからカニエ・ウエストを真似しろっていうわけではないんだけど、トレンドってやっぱり作ってる一番上の洋服のデザインをしてる人たちから来てるわけだと思うんだよね。でそっから少しずつ例えばインフルエンサーに少しずつ流れていって、そのインフルエンサーたちがこれかっこいいな、今季のこれフェンディのこれかっこいいな、プラダのこれかっこいいなって言ってピックアップして着ることによって初めてお店たちがこういうものを置いたら売れるんじゃないかなっていう感じでこういうものを仕入れ出して でそういうのがまた例えばその一般のニュースマスメディアとかに取り上げられて、そこから最終的にマスメディアに取り上げられたシュプリームみたいにその一般に回り始めるっていうことがその、トレンドだと思うんだけど、香港っていう場所はすごく特殊で、それがそういうインフルエンサー、その洋服専門でやってるとか洋服で有名なインフルエンサーっていうのは、僕はあまり知らなくて、アンディ君もあんまり知らないっていう感じで、お互いどうやったらこのインフォメーションギャップを閉じられるかなって考えた末、そのやっぱり香港の文化をやっぱり広めていくしかないっていうことで、でも香港ってその、例えば昔イギリスにその占領されてたから、その町の一つ一つに名前があるの。ウォータールーロードっていうのはウォーターロードとかってすごくそのイギリスの文化に似たような文化が香港にあるわけ。そのアジアとヨーロッパのミックスの国っていうのは多分その世界であんまりない場所だと思うし、そういう文化をどんどん使っていくからこそ伝統的なものを作れるわけで、かっこいいものを作れるっていうわけだと思うんだよね。そういう感じで、でもインフルエンサーに頼るっていうのも一つの手だけど、まだ考えてる途中ですかね。Well, do you know that if there are any kind of like patterns? I'm pretty sure like there's Hong Kong patterns, right?
Hong Kong patterns. We can do a bit of research and find out, right?
Right, Hong Kong patterns. It must be pretty like because Japan there is like Asanoha, which is like patterns of like.
I know like Hong Kong uses a lot of like the red and the green, like a dark green for like the ding, the little trends, and the fairies. They both a lot of that.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. What about like the Hongbala Gao? Can you call that a pattern?
I don't think that's from Hong Kong
Oh,
though.
really? I've never seen that kind of bag anywhere else though. Like 去邊一間士多都揾到紅白咧。阿姐有冇紅白藍膠袋啊？
Yeah, maybe. Where is that from? Interesting.
Right?
Let's move back to that, like the misinformation gap though. I think like one media or that does it pretty well is like Hypebeast, right? They spread a lot of culture and they do a lot of categories. The only thing is they're like a kind of a global targeted brand. Like they focus a lot of the well-known, like if we can name a few like Nike, Louis Vuitton, they talk about those brands. But we need a platform like that to spread the culture, but for more like localized brands and shops.
Yeah, that's true. I think if we can make a platform, and we are making a platform, it would be pretty awesome if we can spread the culture in Hong Kong, the culture in like domestic, like within the country.
Like more going to roots instead of like what Hypebeast is doing.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not saying they're doing bad, they're doing great. I look at them all the time.
Yeah.
Like imagine if like all the city has like their own little medias going in depth on what they have in culture, and like people can switch and explore the other cultures.
Yeah,
right?
that'd be nice. If you can go to a different country and then you can find out their local culture.
Right now we can't, so maybe we can through online or something like that. People could.
I feel like there's an app coming soon. そのやっぱり、僕たちもその考えたんだけど、これも we can continue to talk this next time. I think this was really important. 僕たちも考えてるんだけど、考えてる途中なんだけど、やっぱりインフォメーションギャップを閉じるにはその誰かが情報を発信しないといけないわけだよね。でその情報を発信する、例えばハイプビーストとかでもその情報を発信してるわけだけど、その一つのカルチャーだけじゃん、アメリカだけっていう点で、その全世界の個人的なそのドメスティックなその特別なカルチャーをその配信してるわけではないわけね。だから香港の文化っていうのは、その例えばそのストリートフードって言って街で食べるその魚のボールみたいなのとか、シューマイとかもそうだと思うんだけど、それとかサンチャー is like 生の豚のなんか腸みたいなものとかを食べたりする、国なんだけど、that's the kind of fucked up country we are, right? 僕たちはそういう国なんだから、そういうのを全面にプッシュして、旅行先でそのツアリストたちが 香港ってどんなものがあるんだろうなって思えた時にすぐにその見つけられるようにするっていうのがやっぱり大事だと思うんだよね。洋服に関してもその食べ物に関しても何に関してもそうだと思うので、ハイプビーストだけでは足りない気がするっていうことかな。今日はもうこれでまた30分話したよ。すげえな。早いよ。
So quick.
So quick, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's 30 minutes. 今日はこんな感じでいつも通りに配信できたかなっていうのがあると思うんだよね。
Alright, see you guys next time.
質問箱とか、ディスコードとか、僕のラジオとかもね、聞いてほしいです。やっぱり僕のラジオは24時間やってるので、そっちからそのクリックしてそこで音楽がずっと流れているので、そこでみんなで会話して新しい世界どうやって乗り切ろうかっていうのを若者だけのプラットフォームを作れたらいいなってずっと思ってるので、あそこはもう24時間やってるんでいつでも遊びに来てください。で、前回のポッドキャストエピソード1 エピソード2もあるので、そちらもねぜひ聞いてみてください。多分面白いと思うので、通勤中、通学中、when you go to work, when you go to school, download it offline, whatever the fuck, just listen to it, right? 何でもいいからとにかく暇な時に聞いてください。では今日以上メロラジオでした。バイバイ。
Bye bye. See you next time.